Hi guys, and happy Goku Day. This video is hopefully out on the right day and is hopefully going to be fun. I've put a lot of thought and time into it, so I'm hoping people will at least enjoy the story and let me know if you want to see more. With that all put to the side, let's get going. The Saiyans are a proud clan of ninja who live in the land of fire. They have no affiliation with Konoha. The Saiyans are almost a separate nation who don't care to have the title. Living in the land of fire, they do have some privileges, like having a trade arrangement and a peace treaty with Konoha. The reason the Saiyans are affiliated with no one is because they are a group of mercenaries for hire. They had become a feared clan long ago, being able to rival some of the great ninjas of the past. The strongest Saiyan is fabled to have been able to go toe to toe with the god of shinobi himself. The Saiyans, thanks to their mercenary lifestyle, are a relatively small clan, being in the low hundreds, but they have been around for many years, leading lives of strong ninjas and proud warriors, making them a group which a lot of people fear. And this fear leads to action, and action leads to change. The sounds of horrified screams can be heard echoing throughout the entire village. Metal clanging and fire roaring bellows throughout the entire village, as we see two heavily injured people running, Bardock and Gine, the woman carrying a young Kakarot. Gine screams out asking who these people are, trying to comfort her son while doing so, but has no success. The baby's screams are heard just as loud as everything else. Bardock says how he has no idea who they are, but they have no intent on giving anyone any mercy. The man looks back, seeing a redhead man chasing after him. Quickly thinking, Bardock weaves through some hand signs before turning his whole body around, stopping his momentum and firing off a giant fireball. This blast erupts towards the redhead, however it quickly disappears, revealing the red-headed man to have one hand extended outwards. Bardock isn't sure what happened. He's wondering if he managed to stop that attack, but doesn't have too much time to think about it, as the red-headed man gives chase once again. Bardock turns to continue running with his family, but he can tell that they are not getting out of this alive. Even Gine's figured this out, and is scaring her, and in tow scaring the young Kakarot. Bardock grits his teeth and shouts out for his wife to run and not stop until she gets to safety. This confuses the woman as she turns around to see her husband having completed a hand sign and slamming his hand onto the ground, erupting a giant mud wall. She locks eyes with her husband for a second and then is not able to see him. At first her body moves to go and save her husband, but the sound of Bardock screaming out in a battle cry snaps her out of this. She doesn't want to waste this chance. Bardock's a strong warrior, one of the strongest ninjas the Saiyans have. If anyone's going to survive this fight, it'll be him. She'll run and not turn back, knowing Bardock will make it back to her. So she begins to infuse chakra into her feet and begins to blitz towards the nearby forest, using all of her chakra and moving as fast as her injured body would allow her, as she runs for the rest of the night and long into the next day, before she arrives at the safest place she could think of, the village hidden in the leaf. Once she arrives at the gate, the woman collapses in front of the guards. This shocks the lot of them, however it doesn't take long for them to recognise the symbol on Gine's clothes, causing them to rush to the woman, grabbing her and her son, getting the woman to the hospital as fast as possible, while one other guard is told to go report the incident to Hiruzen and make it hasty. They're worried about why a Saiyan might be present 2 days after the murder of the fourth Hokage. Once Hiruzen catches wind of what's happening, he makes his way over to the hospital as fast as his old body would allow him, arriving at the hospital as the Saiyan woman is starting to get treated. After a few minutes of checking up on her and her son, the doctor points out how they are both mostly fine. The woman is just drained of chakra and heavily fatigued. So the doctor then moves on to check on the baby. She points out how it's only a few weeks old, but for the most part it's fine and just needs a small bit of feeding. Hiruzen, learning this, gets ready to start investigating why Gine's here. The interrogation squad offers to do it for him. However, thanks to the peace treaty that the Leaf and the Saiyans have, Hiruzen wants to do this a bit more diplomatic, so offers to learn everything he needs to from her himself. A few hours pass. Gine wakes up in the hospital. Immediately, the first thing she checks for is her son, looking all around her, before locking eyes with the old man who's currently holding and playing with the young Kakarot. Once seeing this, Gine springs into action, jumping towards Hiruzen. The old man quickly moves one hand to the side, getting ready to defend himself and the child. However, Gine stopped in her tracks by Ombu very fast, The woman's pinned to the floor with a weapon drawn to her throat. Anbu have heard stories about the Saiyans and had a few run-ins with them themselves. They know they're ruthless killers and won't waste an opportunity. If this woman's going to kill the Hokage, they won't give her the opportunity. Hiruzen snaps at his guards, telling them to back off and leave the room immediately. A minute goes by before they follow the order, releasing Gine and leaving the room in a flash. Hiruzen immediately apologises to her, saying how that's part of the issue of being Hokage. Gine angrily stares towards Hiruzen, glaring right through his soul while keeping an eye on Kakarot. Hiruzen finally realises why the woman went for him and apologises, saying he hadn't thought about it. The baby was just crying, so he gave it a bit of fuss, handing the young child back over to Gine. The woman sighs in relief as she checks her son is fine, before apologising herself, explaining how she had just had a long night, which is when everything comes back to her very fast. Tears begin to form up in her eyes as she looks up at Hiruzen, shocking the Hokage, who has heard Saiyans never cry. Gine asks if any other of her clan members had shown up, anyone else from the Saiyan village. Hiruzen's confused, but says no one, leading Hiruzen to ask why. Gine fully breaks down into full tears, mumbling that she can't believe it's true. There's no way Bardock would have died. There's no way they could have killed him. Hiruzen grabs the woman's attention by giving her a slight shake, asking what happened. Gine explains how the Saiyan village was attacked by a group she had never seen before. None of them had red hair, and none of them showed any mercy. They killed children, adults, warriors, farmers alike, and she doesn't know if anyone survived. She has never seen anything like it before. Seeing the Hokage in front of her, she begs for him to send people to go see if anyone survived the attack, to see if anyone from her family is alive. She offers to make it a mission, paying money towards whoever goes, but Hiruzen shakes this off. As much as he knows the village is weak right now, and he can't afford to be sending people off after the Ninetales attack and the Fourth's death. However, if there's a group out there powerful enough to kill off the Saiyans in one night, it needs to be investigated, and the longer they wait, the more the evidence disappears. Hiruzen signals for one of the Onbu to re-enter the room, giving him the mission to gather 2 more Onbu before heading off to the Saiyan village and searching for any survivors or any evidence that indicates what happened. The man nods as he splits off, and within an hour, the 3-man Onbu team leave the village hidden in the leaf and make their way towards the Saiyan village. Taking a few hours to get there, upon arriving, they scout out from a distance to make sure everything is safe before entering. They begin a thorough sweep, which takes them 2 days to complete. Finding something of interest, however, upon returning to the village with it, they drop it off with Donzo before reporting to the Hokage and sharing the news of their finds, leaving out the information about the interesting thing they had found. Hiruzen, hearing this, is deeply saddened, but decides to share the fate of the Saiyan Clan with Gine. He explains how his Onbu found no survivors, and no evidence which points to any nation having made the attack or given orders for someone to make the attack. Right now, they have no information other than the brief description Gine can give. Hearing this, Gine starts to cry once again. This time Hiruzen comforts the woman. Having learnt that everything she had said is the truth, he is more open to comforting her and trying to help her. After a few minutes of crying, Gine calms down after Kakarot pulls on her hair slightly. Looking at her son's face, she can't help but see Bardock, which gets a bit of a smile out of her, as she looks up towards Hiruzen, thanking him for all of his help and apologising for being such a bother. But everyone she knows and everything she knows is gone. The only thing she's got left of her husband and her family is, well, the young Kakarot. There's a silent moment before Hiruzen speaks up, saying how she is welcome to stay in the leaf for as long as she needs. He'll provide her with accommodation for a short while and provide her with some support, something he had already talked out with the council and Donzo in preparation for the Saiyans fully being dead. Gine's confused and asks why. Hiruzen explains the diplomatic reason is that the Saiyans and the leaf are allies at the end of the day, and a very important thing to him and the rest of the village is helping out an ally when they can. So, this is him extending his hand, offering to help her. Gine doesn't know what to say, and thanks Hiruzen, saying how she'll accept it. Hiruzen's happy to hear this, but explains that there will be some conditions that she unfortunately has to follow. Gine listens on, as Hiruzen explains how the first condition is they will have to change their name. Not only their first names, but also their clan name. The reason for doing this is so that not only will the village people not know that she's a Saiyan, a group which are known for being vicious mercenaries and it will not make her life in the village easy. But more importantly, it will hide her from the people who had killed off her entire clan. Hiding in plain sight with a different name will make her life a lot smoother and safer. Gine, hearing this, was stubborn at first, but understands the logic, eventually agreeing to change her name if it means she can hide in the leaf better. So, after hearing she agrees to this, Hiruzen explains that the next thing she'll have to do is share any information about the Saiyan Clan and the people who had attacked them, even having to give up some information. Hiruzen explains the only other condition, which isn't too bad for Gine. He explains how she just has to give most information about the Saiyan Clan and the people who had attacked her over to him. It's a strange thing that Gine has to answer, as she shares some information about the Saiyans, keeping some bits secret to share with her son, but she gives a good bit of information, while also revealing what she could remember about that night. The abilities they used, the clothes they wear, the way they looked, and the way they moved. Not much, but at least it gives them a basic description of what to keep an eye out for, and how many people are in this group. With all said and done, Hiruzen's happy with everything he managed to get out of her, thanking her for her cooperation, welcoming her to the village hidden in the leaves. After a few days, they have decided upon new names. They will take on the name of the Son family, Kakarot's name becoming Goku, and Gine's, well, I don't really have a name ready for her, but if you want to give me ideas in the comments, I'll happily accept them. However, throughout the story, I will continue to call her Gine. It doesn't take long for Hiruzen to get them a house, as they begin to settle into their new lives. The pair are very much watched over by Onbu, something Hiruzen had warned him about. However, Gine doesn't mind this. She spends most of her time looking after her son, but she realises she is going to have to start job hunting soon, and thanks to her believing her skills as a ninja not being the best, she decides to go after the job which she believes fits her the best, being a chef. She used to cook in the same village all the time, and whereas her food might not taste brilliant, she can cook for a large amount of people very fast, thanks to Saiyans still having their huge appetite. But unluckily for the woman, not many places are willing to accept her. She has really awkward hours she needs to work around. After all, her main priority is still looking after Goku, but she still needs to find a way to make money. Alongside this, she's also an outsider, and we have seen what the village can be like to people they distrust or are new. They distance themselves from her, and almost fear her. There are speculations of who she is and what she's here to do. Gine doesn't care about any of this, she just wants a job. And after a few days of searching, I believe one of the few exceptions in the village and one of the truest, nicest people in this village finally accepts her. After a day of job hunting and getting rejected a lot, she stops to eat at a small ramen shop at night. She finds herself complaining about everyone rejecting her job offers, saying how she just needs to make some extra money to help provide for her son, and she goes off on a bit of a tyrant about being a single mother and not really having the hours to work with. Hearing this, the shop owner opens his mouth, explaining how he can't promise her the hours will be good or the pay will be great, but he'll happily take her in, as Tucci, or the Chatty Ramen Man, is happy to have Gine, at least help her out for a while so she can make some money on the side of whatever Hiruzen is providing for her. So quite fast, Gine gets a job, as she starts working at Ichiraku Ramen. At first, her food doesn't taste great, but she can get food out at a fast rate and make large quantities of it without any issues. And over time her skills begin to develop, and she even quite enjoys this job, having a good relationship with Tucci, and even getting on really well with Tucci's daughter. And as years begin to pass in the village, Gine grows more accustomed to life here, getting to work more as Kakarot grows older, with the boy often just hanging around the shop with his mum or playing with Tucci's daughter. Goku begins to thrive in the village. He becomes a kind-hearted person, and an adventurous soul. He has the fighting spirit to never back down, and reminds Gine of Bardock an awful lot. But the boy is very clearly different from every Saiyan she has ever worked with. A lot of Saiyans were cold-hearted killers, but not Goku. He cares for everyone, and wants to help defend the people of this village, and has already started to show a great interest in becoming a ninja. He knows very limited information about the Saiyans, but Gine has shared the fact that he is one, and given away some of the abilities he gains from it, one being enhanced strength, and a tail he often uses as an extra appendage, something that many people in the village find strange, but Gine has taught him to hide it as he's gotten older. Thanks to Goku being who he is, both Tucci and his daughter love the kid, who spends most of his free time around the shop, and thanks to this being the case, it leads to a very important encounter, One night while Gine is working a late shift, the young Goku sits around eating and playing with Tucci's daughter. But that's when a small blonde-haired boy enters the building. He's greeted with a smile from Tucci, asking if Naruto is back to get more after tasting his food for the first time. The young boy excitedly nods, but then locks eyes with the other kids sat in the store. A second goes by as the pair stare at each other. Goku gives a smile to the child who looks to be about his age, telling him welcome to the store, catching Naruto off guard. The Uzumaki stands there for a second before pulling up a chair next to Goku, who is currently eating his own bowl of ramen. The pair sit there next to each other for a few seconds in silence before Goku introduces himself to Naruto, and Naruto does the same. And within a few seconds the pair begin talking about the ramen they are consuming, and soon it branches off into nonsense. Gine from behind the bar can't help but smile watching her son make a friend, as Tucci tells Gine that Naruto is a new customer and had only started coming the other week when she was off shift. The two kids speak about nonsense for a while into the night, before Gine's shift is finally finished. Thinking to finally introduce herself, she walks over, opposite to Naruto, introducing herself as Goku's mum, with a big smile on her face. But Goku just looks sad at hearing this, as he looks away from the woman a little bit. She shakes it off as him just being shy, and starts to ask Naruto some questions, like his age, what he likes doing, and where he lives. Naruto shyly responds to all the questions, letting a big smile out of both Saiyans. Goku shouts out how they're the same age, saying how that's really cool, meaning they might even be in the same class. While Gine points out that Naruto only lives a few minutes away from their house, offering to walk the boy home since it's got pretty late, and his mum's probably worried about him. Naruto looks sad and is about to refuse, but Goku answers for him, dragging the boy out of the building, waving bye to Tucci and Ama. As Goku and Naruto start walking home, Gine follows along behind them, just watching her son have a normal life. Much like his father, Goku already wants to become a ninja. Gine was expecting this, and is getting ready to show him some of the basic ninja training that she did when she was a kid. It helped her a great deal, and hopefully it'll help him. After a short walk, Gine eventually makes it to Naruto's house, dropping the boy off and telling the child that they only live over there, pointing the building out, which was visible from Naruto's house, saying that if he ever wants to come round and play, to not be a stranger, and just come over and knock on the door. As Naruto smiles brightly, Goku says goodbye to his new best friend, telling him to come round and play soon. Naruto smiles and nods his head. As Goku says bye, the pair start to walk away. But the moment Naruto walks into his house, Gine can see the house is completely dark, and there's no sound of movement or anything in there. Saiyans have pretty decent hearing, and she cannot hear another soul in that room or house of his. This troubles her a little bit, but she doesn't think too much on it. Weeks begin to pass as Naruto spends more and more time over at Gine and Goku's house. The two kids become very close friends fast. Naruto even starts spending some nights at the house. During these visits, Gine learns more and more about the boy, and Naruto starts to open up more and more around them, becoming much more eccentric and loud, something which Goku loves massively. The pair start playing more with one another, as Gine learns the truth about why no one was at Naruto's home that day, through Tucci, learning that the boy is an orphan, having no family and living alone. Gine can't believe this. So, next time she's in a meeting with Hiruzen, something the pair have done every few weeks since Gine started living in the village, leading to the pair being quite close and somewhat friends. These meetings are normally quite calm and friendly, but this time Gine seems irritated, immediately asking Hiruzen about Naruto. This catches Hiruzen off guard, as Gine explains how Naruto and Goku had become really good friends recently, and she had only just learned that he lives alone, so she wants to know more about why. Hiruzen sighs, explaining that this was meant to be a secret, however it was leaked years ago, so you might as well share it with her. He explains how Naruto is the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed Fox. That is why people don't go near Naruto. That is why people don't allow their kids to play with the boy. They are scared of what he is, and the power he holds. Gine can't believe this though. She has been around Naruto for weeks, and has seen nothing but a kind-hearted soul, who clearly has been pushed away by everyone around him. And this gets Gine angry. Imagine if it was her own son in this situation. Imagine if no one was there to care for him. Very well could have been if she hadn't been saved by Bardock that night. She asks if there's no one at all who can take care of Naruto. No family. Hiruzen explains that his godfather is a very skilled ninja, meaning he's away in very dangerous missions that would not be best suited for Naruto. So for now it's best he live in the village, even if it means he's alone. However, even Hiruzen admits he hates having to do this to the boy, and genuinely wants to see him thrive. This enrages Gine, pointing out how it's stupid that even if Hiruzen hates it, he continues to allow it to happen. He should make it so the boy has a family to go home to and people there to support him, and the kid should have no reason to live alone, and if no one else will take Naruto in, she will. Hiruzen is shocked, and even Gine catches herself, but stands her ground. Hiruzen tells Gine that it's not as simple as adopting him. Hiru tells him she doesn't care, and she's only following the principle she was taught by him a few years back, about helping out allies when possible, and extending that hand whenever you can. Iterating how it doesn't matter if Hiruzen approves it or not, she will raise that kid to make sure he has got someone in this world, to make sure he's not alone. Hiruzen sighs, saying the woman could be stubborn if she really wanted to, and tells her she will speak to the council about it, but he's not sure how it will go. Gine thanks Hiruzen and leaves the building quickly. Not long after, Hiruzen manages to gather the council and has a discussion. Of course, the village elders aren't sure about allowing Naruto to be raised by the Saiyan family, but shockingly, Danzo points out how it could be beneficial. Not only would this mean the boy is raised by a clan which is known for being mighty warriors, the Saiyan woman might actually have ways to help mould Naruto into a stronger weapon, teaching him tricks only she would know, and therefore making him a much powerfuler weapon in any war that was to happen, therefore making him the Leaf's true ultimate weapon. Hiruzen doesn't like the logic that Danzo used, but uses the momentum built up from it to turn the elders onto his side, explaining how having Naruto more stable, raised by someone kind-hearted like Gine, could lead to him being a stronger ninja in the future, and also just a better well-rounded person. It would give the boy a chance at a life we had denied him. And after a while of back and forth, eventually the village elders are turned by Danzo and Hiruzen, having fully agreed to allow Gine to raise Naruto and even adopt him. So very soon after, we find Gine with Goku moving into Naruto's apartment. It's the slightly bigger one, and the boys love the idea of living together and becoming adopted brothers. Naruto is happy to have Gine as his mum, and at the moment it's on a trial period, but it doesn't take long for them to settle into a family routine, with them taking a photo of the first day they spend together and hanging it in their house. Naruto loves Gine as his mum. She's a very nice woman, but can be scary when she wants to be. And that leads to Naruto not being as prankstery, and thanks to getting the attention he needs, he doesn't pull as many jokes as he would in canon. And soon, we find the story lining up like it would in canon. There are some minor changes I will go over very fast, and I plan on speedrunning these up until the end of the Academy arc, so stick with me here. As a quick note, I am likely putting some of these out of order in the time they would happen, but I've tried my best to keep it somewhat lined up. The first thing I want to note is the Uchiha Massacre still happens. Nothing in this timeline has changed in Hiruzen or anyone else to change the events that happens here, so I believe this is still a very likely thing to happen. So, keeping with Goku and Naruto for now, the most part things would go the same. But the moment Naruto and Goku start showing an interest in becoming a ninja, I believe Gine would start teaching the pair some basic taijutsu and basic chakra control, a month or two before the pair had started the academy. During this time, Goku would learn how much he loves fighting, and learn that he's actually super strong for a kid his age, something Gine already knew about and has to tell Goku it's a Saiyan trait to be inherently pretty strong. And while Goku learns of one of his strengths, Naruto learns of one of his weaknesses in chakra control. So, Gine, seeing this, decides to try and teach the pair to wall walk, believing this would be a good way to help Naruto learn to control his chakra better, also learning how to relegate it better. The pair spend a great deal of time doing this together, and eventually do manage to learn to wall walk. Once this is completed, Gine slows down on the training, only teaching them some more basic taijutsu, chakra control tricks, and even a clone jutsu for Naruto, believing it would be much better for him. And I believe the pair would spend a great deal of time training together, which leads to my next few changes. I believe Naruto would still end up helping out Hinata the day she is getting bullied. However, in this timeline, not only would he be physically stronger and better trained, he would also have the backup of Goku, with their basic training and Goku's natural highest strength. I could see them pulling out a win here. I believe they would walk away from it very injured, with a lot of bruises, but a win's a win. So, after learning Hinata's okay and having scared off the bullies, the pair head off, continuing about their day. While getting home, they get scolded by Gine for fighting, before getting praised for helping a girl in need. I think this interaction would make two things very apparent though. One, it would give Goku and Naruto a name for being big troublemakers, Naruto's prankstery nature, Goku having quite a violent nature, something I'll explain in a bit, would give them a name for being troublemakers. I also believe that the two managing to win would inspire Hinata to push herself harder than she did in canon, leading to her coming off a bit stronger from this. Now, thanks to Naruto and Goku's troublemaker title, the pair would often find adults giving them dirty looks. They don't really care for this though. I also think Gine's training would help them perform quite well in the academy. Nowhere near the top of the class, but definitely not the bottom of the class, even exceeding in taijutsu, with the pair being the best in the class when it came to it. And even though Naruto has a family in this timeline, and people who very deeply care for him, I believe the kid would still want to become Hokage, to get everyone's respect, as I don't believe people would treat him that differently. Only Goku and Gine's opinion has really changed on him. Goku hearing this would promise to help Naruto make his dream possible, and then become his second in command until he at least slipped up. Goku has become very protective over his younger brother. This is where his violent name has come from, as he picks a fight with anyone who disrespects or treats his brother badly, regardless of age, class, or ranking. He didn't care. He would defend his brother and anyone who badmouthed him. This is where Goku's violent nature came from, and making his status of a troublemaker much worse than it would be. But he doesn't care. He's not like this really. I believe this would be a good time to also cover what the class sees about Goku. And most of them wouldn't dislike him, even though he's a troublemaker and he can be quite violent. They only know he's ever really like this when he's defending his brother and when people disrespect him. So a lot of the class have actually stopped being rude to Naruto, since the looming threat of Goku does scare them a little bit. However, they also respect him for how much he cares about his brother. And once they start speaking to him, they learn that he's actually a very friendly kid. And even though they don't like Naruto, they at least find themselves getting on a little bit with Goku. With Naruto being stronger in this timeline, his rivalry with Sasuke has only grown. He is a much bigger challenge to Uchiha, and while Naruto has his rivalry with Sasuke, Goku can't help but dislike him. Sasuke is one of the few people he really struggles with fighting against, and also is one of the people who treats his brother really bad, disrespecting him a lot. But it doesn't bother Goku too much, since Sasuke is like this with everyone, so we can almost let it slide. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is passing the exam. Like I said briefly before, Naruto already knows a clone jutsu. I believe Gine would have an idea of how to use the shadow clone and would teach it to the boy, realising it is a much better jutsu suited to him, and this would prevent him from struggling to produce clones, so he would pass with ease alongside the rest of his class. This all being said and done, it comes time to decide teams. And I have to be honest with you, I had a few options here. At first I thought about just putting everyone's name into a generator and forming teams like that. But that would cause issues since we actually have an odd amount of people. Remember, I've got a +1 in the roster now thanks to Goku being in this timeline. Meaning someone would have to get the boot, which is ideally something I wouldn't like to do. So in the end, I think I'm going to leave it all down to you guys to a degree. I have two options that I'm going to present, however I'm leaning more towards the first one than I am the second one. Mostly because it keeps all the characters that are in the story, in canon, in it. And this timeline, I want to present the idea that Team 7 would have a 4-man squad instead of a 3-man. With Kakashi also getting Goku on top of the canon group. I believe Kakashi is probably the most capable teacher to take on a 4-man squad. This is why he is the one who ended up with it. Alongside that, Hiruzen knows that Naruto and Goku will work perfectly together. So it's very likely this could happen. But my other option was to kick Sakura off Team 7 altogether. However, I don't like this option as much, so I will be more than likely leaning into the idea of having a 4-man squad for Team 7. But let me know in the comments for any other suggestions. With that all being said, I am going to end this part here. It's gone on much longer than I wanted it to, and I tried to keep introduction parts relatively short, but I've gone on for 29 minutes now, and it was only a setup with not much interesting happen. I hope people enjoyed this part, as it was a lot of setup, and I really enjoyed writing for this. If this doesn't go well, it's fine. I can continue going back to my normally scheduled what ifs in the future. I plan on having What If Kakarot Was Raised by Raditz out next week, and probably the following week I want to get a Pokemon What If out, because I've had an idea for it, and I'm really looking forward to writing for it. That all being said, I do hope everyone enjoyed this part. I hope you all have a great day, or a good night, and I'll see you next time.